Well, like one of the things that I do is try and thinking about how sound moves in space. When people think about sound in space, they tend to use, like this outer set of speakers uses a system called ambisonics. So it's kind of like an illusion-based system of moving sound around. What tends to happen with those kinds of compositions, the audience sits in the middle in a position known as the sweet spot, an ideal central position, and sound tends to move around that kind of centralized listener. So what I thought was it would be much better if the sound was static and the listener moved around. I'd been doing this work where I have a speaker hanging from the ceiling and spinning round. So like it was like how can you best get a sound to pan in 360 degrees? Have a spinning speaker. So it was this really kind of concrete physical way of moving sound around as opposed to an illusion. And the sound that I used is a shepherd tone, and a shepherd tone is based on this idea of pitch circularity. So it's like several harmonics that fade in and out of volume. If you were to hear it just as a recording, it just appears to go up and up and up indefinitely in pitch. But the way it works is because of this pitch circularity, so it actually goes around a kind of hypothetical circle and starts again where it left off. So that's why I used this shepherd tone in this swinging speaker piece. And then I thought, well, actually it might be nice to try and develop that idea so that this is basically eight kind of frozen points in a shepherd tone. So it's like a kind of spatialized in the sense that each part of the shepherd tone is given a different position in space. Somehow there was this combination of physical movement and enacting the pitch change, and also to do with the time. Like the work in itself has no temporal component, it's frozen sort of, it's like a static moment, and the temporal component of it is only enacted when the listener starts to move around it. It was inspired by the Dream Machine, but more generally it was kind of, I was thinking about Burroughs' work, and in particular this novel Cities of the Red Night, which is kind of like a non-linear novel, so there are these two intersecting stories that cross over. In that novel there are these 6 cities, and what Burroughs says is that if you say the names of these 6 cities before you fall asleep, the answer to whatever question you're thinking of will appear in the dream. And then Andre Vida did this saxophone piece, and what I asked him to do is actually try and use the saxophone to articulate these 6 names of these 6 cities. So it's like they're kind of embedded in there as well. So it's kind of like it had this kind of connection with the dream state as well, because not just in terms of like let's have some hallucinogenic experience, but more the dream as a way of trying to engage or resolve things that are happening in the real world or the non-dream-like world. The theme of this festival is the dream. So if you think about how time, like for example Freud would argue that dreams are timeless. You know, there's no kind of temporal or linear script to a dream, and that when time appears in dreams, it appears in some other form. Like for example, a landscape might be symbolic of some temporal distance or whatever. So I like the idea that like the work itself alluded to this kind of lack of time or absence of time that was somehow in the work but in some spatial or non-temporal form, if that makes sense. So that, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to do, I guess.